I was someone who was never particularly impressed by Sage's introduction in Sonic Frontiers. She sort of just appears, and the next thing you know, she's making this big, like, sacrifice play at a point where I feel like we didn't really get to know the character, you know what I mean? She just doesn't feel all that fleshed out. Like, I see what they were going for with her being, like, a protective daughter, like, guardian angel, sort of, having that sort of role for Eggman. But her appearances in Frontiers, they never really left an impact. They didn't ever feel they felt very repetitive. They didn't feel very, like, special or exciting to, like, see that character. It was always just like, oh, it's her again. Okay, cool. Are you just gonna keep going, like, you know, resistance is futile is basically what she was saying the whole time. I've calculated that you cannot win, you know, so just kept saying the same stuff over and over again. Like, honestly, I was the kind of person who, like, if Sage never came back after Frontiers, I would not have ever missed her, to be honest. But it seems like they want to make the character a mainstay, and it makes sense, right? Because, like, Frontiers, from what I know, it sold a lot of copies. It's very... It performed very well. And Sage is, like, beloved among, like, the wider, like, Sonic fandom. At least that's what it seems like to me. So if Sage is going to be sticking around, what are some things that I think they could do to really flesh out the character and make her more interesting, make her stay worthwhile, you know? I'm ZealotPara. Welcome to the rebranding of my my little alt channel here. I'm going to be doing live streams, playing a lot of Sonic stuff. I'll also be posting stream clips here. And then in terms of, like, longer form content, like this video, it's going to be a little more off the cuff than my main channel, where I post more, like, intricately put together and more slow and heavily scripted essay videos. So go check that out if you want to hear much deeper, like, analysis on movies and TV shows, and probably games over there too. But this channel, Double Dino, is going to be primarily focused on gaming content. So subscribe, ring-a-ding that bell, and of course follow me at all my socials linked in the description to keep up with, you know, whatever I'm doing. But back to the topic at hand. As I said, I wasn't ever really interested in Sage all that much until relatively recently when I saw her portrayal in Death Battle. They really played into the, like, guardian angel protective daughter sort of dynamic that she has with Eggman. Because, like, before I was sort of worried that Sage's just, like, her whole existence, like, what that was gonna mean for future characterization of Eggman. You know, like, taking away his edge and making him less of an irredeemable bad guy, like, enemy to nature, taking away his sort of, like, ruthless villain, that aspect of his character. But with, you know, Death Battle, her presence in Crossworlds, and now seeing, like, depictions of her in Korn's Silver's Future, like, alternate universe concept thing that's going around on Twitter right now, I'm really warming up to the character. I'm really starting to see some potential, like, amazing potential with this character. And I feel like she can add, like, some extra layers to Eggman's character as well. Instead of ruining it, they could almost, like, you know, maintain his established, like, literal mustache twirling villain persona. This very, like, irredeemable bad guy, this enemy to all nature, you know, this just, like, you know, this just, like, representation of just, like, everything wrong with, like, industrialization and all that. Maintaining all of that, but adding extra layers, adding, like, an extra layer of humanity to him, because with good writing, you can have both. And I love the idea that, like, he's a little softer on Sage, right? Maybe, I don't want to say doting, but, like, maybe a little more, like, accommodating for her, right? Maybe not, maybe, you know, he's not going to be as hard on her as he is with, like, Metal Sonic, right? Who, I just, when I think of, like, Eggman and Metal Sonic's dynamic, I almost see it as, like, Eggman is so hard on Metal Sonic because he looks like Sonic, so it's hard for him to, like, actually form a connection with Metal Sonic. And of course, Eggman's, you know, he's just a mean piece of shit in the first place, right? So he's not the kind of person that's gonna form connections with people. Maybe you could throw a little bit of a wrench into that, saying, like, oh, you know, you've got, like, Cubot and Orbot, you know, they don't look like Sonic, but he fucking hates them too. But to that I say, Cubot and Orbot are annoying pieces of shit, and I understand why he would hate them. But in terms of Sage herself, and places that I think they could go with her, I think they could really play into, like, the guardian angel aspect of her, and the way she feels about Eggman. We've already seen that she's willing to be an ally to good, to be an ally to Sonic. Her motivations are less, like, she doesn't have the same motivations that Eggman has, where, like, she wants to, you know, she wants to rule and have all this, like dominate everything and tear down the trees and, you know, like put put all the little animals, use them as fuel for his like robots and everything. I don't think she didn't really care about that. She more cares about you know, just doing everything she can to protect her father and make him happy, even if that means, you know, fighting against these people that she doesn't necessarily have any personal qualms with. I mean, I guess she does, because they're enemies to Eggman, but you know what I mean. Like, if Eggman wasn't in the picture and Sage was on her own, and she didn't have, like, these feelings for Eggman, I don't think she wouldn't have any issues with, like, with the protagonists, right? Yeah, her relationship with Eggman definitely isn't the healthiest thing, but I actually, and I that's the thing, right? Is like, you don't want to with the vision of Sage and Eggman that I have in my head, you don't want to write them as like completely wholesome, I feel. I think you want to make it more of like a cautionary tale with the two characters, right? Where you don't want to make it seem as if, you know, being loyal to a bad guy is a good thing, right? I don't think you don't want to have the writing behind these two characters come across as that. But I just really like the sort of dynamic where like you've got one character that is way too forgiving of the person that they care about, despite the other person being like toxic or just straight up evil, right? Sometimes people are just like very biased and misguided with the people that they choose to care about, and that's a very interesting thing to explore in fictional characters, right? It's actually a concept I'm exploring in my own work-in-progress novel, Madalena. One of the side characters, Rosara, she pretty much has that, like, that kind of dynamic I just described, where she's very protective and way too forgiving for this very abusive ringleader that she works for, who she's basically enslaved to, right? And throughout the course of the story, you're going to be wondering if she's ever going to decide to do the right thing and abandon this evil man, you know, for her own good and for the good of the rest of her friends, like her fellows, like her fellow like circus performers, right? Or if she's just going to continue serving him and doing whatever she can to you know, to work for him and to protect him and make sure he's constantly making money, because there's reasons in that story for why he needs to keep making money, because it puts him in danger when he's not making money. And Rosara, you know, she fears for it's really less that she fears him, but more like she fears for him, right? But back to Sonic, I'm not saying that's exactly the route that Sage needs to be going in. Maybe we shouldn't feel like she needs to abandon Eggman, but rather an option that I see is that you could have this almost sort of like consistent trope with Eggman and Sage, where she keeps putting him in situations, she keeps getting into situations that give him opportunities to do good. And maybe he'll pitch in once in a while to save the day. We've seen that from Eggman before, right? Where he'll come together with the rest of the cast to be like, shit, there's not gonna be, you know, there's crazy things going on that's out of my control. I'm not gonna have a planet to rule. Shit, this even happened in the movies. I'm not gonna have a planet to rule if this thing happens, because everyone's gonna be fucking dead. You know, Sage could be like a big catalyst for giving him those opportunities to do good, but at the end of the day, he always returns to his old ways of destruction and just, you know, just evil and everything. I think that's the key, right? Is that Eggman should never completely turn good. That should never happen. Unless you want to do like a spin-off or something where that happens, maybe, I don't know. But maybe like you could hint at it once in a while, like hint at his like, you know, hint at a possible better nature. You kind of saw that in the IDW comics a little bit, where he lost his memories, right? So that, at least in like the IDW side of things, he does have that within him, which I think is really interesting. I feel like I said in the past, before that, like I feared hinting at a softer side to Eggman would kind of take away his what makes him such a great character in games where he actually is written well. But I think I've grown into the idea of showing that softer side. I just don't think they should ever fully commit to it, unless you do something, you know, kind of, maybe you do like bring in like an alternate universe Eggman, or like, you know, they've done the amnesia thing. Stuff like that, you know. But for the Eggman, I don't think they should ever fully commit to him like becoming a good guy, right? And then in terms of Sage's side of things, like you could almost be rooting for her, right? Where it's like you almost like, I feel like you want to get across the idea that, like, Eggman's he's never gonna turn good, right? But you just feel for Sage, because you know that she wants to maybe lean him closer to that side. Like, she's never gonna give up on him. Like, you almost want to feel conflicted, where it's like, man, just give up on this guy. He's not good for you. He's not good for anybody. He's never gonna be good. But also, maybe part of you wants to feel like maybe one day she'll get through to him, right? But you don't ever actually want her to do that, you know? So, like, 1 or 2 decades from now, when we have more games that feature these two characters, this dynamic could just, like, have kept going on in this way. Hopefully in a way where it never feels, like, played out when it's like, oh god, you know? I also love the idea, this is inspired by the Silver's Future thing that's going on Twitter right now. Shout out to Korn and all the artists that are, drawing for this alternate universe thing. I've linked all of the images that I'm showing up on screen right now. I'm linking all their Twitters in the description. But I love the idea of something like horrible happening to Eggman, right? Whether he's horribly injured or he just straight up dies, and Sage she just loses it, right? She just snaps. Not in the way Tails loses it in Sonic Forces, but I'm talking like she really goes off the deep end and does something crazy, like causing like an apocalyptic event, trying to create the world, you know, that Eggman always envisioned, you know, creating it in his memory, right? I've seen these artists sort of playing around with this concept. It's really cool. And this, you know, kind of ties in with the Silver's Future concept, making Sage like the main antagonist of that game, right? Just thinking about this stuff, man, it's just like, man, the potential with this character. Like, we never really had a character in the past related to Eggman. Correct me if I'm wrong on this. I'm like I said, this isn't a heavily researched video. It's I've got like basically just notes here that I'm reading. Not really a very heavily scripted video, so correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think we've ever had a character that's ever given like the writers of these games like the opportunity to add like these extra layers to Eggman, right? In a way that won't ruin his character. I don't know if we've ever really had that. I think there's a lot of potential with Sage that I never really saw until recently with all this other stuff coming up. I hope Sonic Team is thinking the same thing and that they want to take this character to interesting places. It doesn't have to be any of what I suggested, anything related to what I suggested, but hopefully they're cooking. And hopefully, like I said, I think no matter what they do, I think they need to maintain Eggman's status as the villain, right? Because it's like, say for example, if you turn Bowser like completely good in the Mario series, it's like, okay, then we need a new villain now, right? And I don't want to see Eggman replaced as the villain, right? I don't want to see him replaced as the baddie. And I just realized, by the way, bringing up Bowser is still a really good like antagonist and everything in these games, because you've got like Bowser Jr. and the Koopa kids, right? And he cares for them, but Bowser's also a bad guy that wants to rule everything, and mainly he wants to rule Peach, you know. But that's beside the point. And yeah, they're able to maintain Bowser's status despite having these people that he cares for. So hey, you know, there you go. That is already a thing that happens in a big video game franchise. So I do think it's possible with Eggman for sure. And yeah, it's just really exciting to have like these new characters and concepts being introduced into the world of Sonic, especially with the sort of redemption arc that this franchise is on right now. That's why I'm sort of like quasi rebranding myself, at least on this channel and like on my Twitch and Twitter, Blue Sky, to be like I want to be like a Sonic content creator, Sonic tuber, right? Because I feel like this franchise is finally at a point where it's worth doing that for. I would not have done this back when like, you know, Sonic Boom, Sonic Forces, even when Sonic Frontiers first came out, I wasn't quite convinced yet with this franchise, but like Crossworlds with the movies, with everything else that's coming up, it's like, yeah, I really feel like it's worth talking about. I feel like it's worth me making content about Sonic now, which is something that I've been wanting to do since I was like, I'm 26 years old right now. I've been wanting to do this for over a decade, right? So, I'm just really happy that I'm in a place now where I feel like I can actually do that. But yeah, thank you for checking out my little Sage rant here, my little Sage Eggman rant here. You may have noticed that I've made this video in bed, and you're gonna see me here pretty much anytime I'm on camera. I'm gonna be right here. This makes it a lot more. It makes my PC and everything anything work related, a lot more accessible, because I have my whole PC set up on this like rolling desk that basically like I can roll it away when I'm not at my PC. I can pull it towards me when I'm at my PC. I've got this like orthopedic pillow set that just makes it more comfortable. Trying to sit at my desk all day, it just, because of my health issues, I have long haul COVID. I have very low energy levels, very low endurance. It makes sitting at my desk really hard, like long term. But what I can do, it just makes everything a lot more accessible. Just doing everything from my bed, right? Like I can just swing the mic over, turn the cam on, read off my notes and everything, and just like, for the video like this, it makes it a lot easier. It makes streaming a lot easier. It makes editing a lot easier. It makes writing a lot easier. It just makes everything a lot easier. And like I said, I am going to be streaming a lot more. So subscribe to this channel if you want to see more streams, videos, clips. If you'd rather see stuff on like TikTok, I've got everything's linked in the description. I post my clips to TikTok. And yeah, I'm just trying to grow this community. I will still be like, a variety streamer, content creator, but I do want to have like a bigger focus on Sonic from here on out. I'm probably going to burn out on Sonic once in a while, so that stuff might slow down here and there just because that's how my brain works. But generally, I do, at least on this channel and on my streams and social media and everything, I do want to maintain like that Sonic focus for the most part. And you might be noticing some Patreon names scrolling up here. If you pledge to my Patreon, you'll be able to get videos like this. My scripted videos, I might post those early on my Patreon. And then, of course, you'll get your name in the credits on this video and on my main channel, ZealotPara, also linked in the description. Everything's in the description. Go follow everything. Go check everything out. I'll see y'all for another possibly Sonic discussion video soon. We'll see. Whatever I end up talking about next. Gonna be playing a lot of Sonic stuff on stream, so go check it out. Come hang out. Come say hi. And we'll catch you later. Bye-bye. I don't know what that was. I need to figure out my intros and outros and stuff. But anyway, take care, guys.